Welcome back to Listen, I Have an Idea. It's currently day 12 of NaNoWriMo, and I discovered this morning that I haven't talked about research yet. So today's video is going to be 8 tips in helping you research for your novel. The first tip is you can never have too much. You can never have too much research. Knowing more about your story and about locations and just basically any general information that you can find that will help you write, you can never have too much of it. That being said, if you're spending all of your time researching instead of writing, you're not really helping yourself write your novel. You gotta start writing to do it, but the more informed you are, the better your writing will end up being. Tip number 2 is the 4 different places where you're going to end up researching. The first is the internet, of course. The internet is such a wonderful tool. The second is a library. There you're not only going to find nonfiction books potentially on your topic, but you might find some really helpful fiction books as well. Books that are maybe in the same genre as you're writing, similar character types, set in the same time, maybe the same location. Libraries are a huge resource and you should definitely check them out. The third, of course, is traveling or visiting your actual locations. For some, this might not be feasible as you're creating a completely fictional world, but if you live in a location that's similar to where you're writing, you can go visit it and check out how exactly those locations function, what they look like, what they sound like, what they smell like. You will get a better sense of the location from actually just being there. The fourth tip is if you cannot actually go to those places, interview people. If you end up writing about a place where there are actually people you can call and get some general information, that might end up helping you a lot more than you will think. Tip number 4 are search tips. So I have 2 for this one. The first one is when you are on Wikipedia, while Wikipedia is not necessarily a scholarly referred website, there are a lot of footnotes within their articles. What I mean is when you're reading, you will see a tiny little blue number pop up beside whatever you're reading, and that is in reference to the reference section at the very bottom of the page. Go down there, find some of those articles. That will bring you to a scholarly website where all of the information will be located pertaining to a specific topic. They are super reliable and you will get more information than Wikipedia will just have on their main page. The second search tip is to search on Google or any search bar with whatever you're searching in quotation marks. The best example I can give to you is if you're listening to a song and you only catch a certain lyric and you don't know the title, go onto Google, type in that lyric and put them in quotation marks. What this does is it will search for whatever you have within those quotation marks in exactly that order. They will search any website, any forum, any place online that has those specific set of words in that exact order. You will typically be able to find your answer pretty quickly. My 5th tip for research is to use Google Maps. For me, this was actually quite important in order to get the world right. You want to make sure that the locations that you're talking about in your novel are quite accurate to similar locations. If you're writing a book that's set in Brooklyn, New York, I highly suggest going onto Google Maps, going onto Street View, walking down the streets, familiarizing yourself with the location. And that is the same with pretty much any location. You might also want to print off a map. That way you can doodle on it, mark out certain locations, make notes on it. It'll be a lot easier if you have an actual tangible piece of paper that has a map on it rather than marking it online. Tip number 6 is to keep a journal or a notebook. I myself have a journal. I've showed you guys this many times before. In here I keep all of my notes for my book. I have pictures, diagrams, lists, anything you could possibly want to know about my book. It's in here or I'm working on it in here. I also have a separate notebook where I write down just random thoughts, random notes, things I need to Google. It's really helpful to have a notebook or a journal where you can write down all of your research notes and have it in a tangible place right beside you. Tip number 7 is to focus on 3 aspects of research. First one is the timeline that your book will take place in. You want to research accurate things that would have happened or taken place within that year. You want to research what the people were wearing, what they were eating, what the world was like, how specific areas of the world reacted, what was going on. That's important to get the timeline right. The second is place. This goes along with my previous tips in finding maps, going to specific locations, finding out more about the location. Do your research into your place. That's just one example. There are many other examples for different locations that you can research. The more you know, the better. The third is character. So going along with this one comes last because once you find out all the information about the time and the place. Your character just gets slotted in there, and you can figure out all of the aspects of your character that relate to the time and the place. So what are they wearing? What are they eating? How do they fit in with the location? Figure all that out and you'll be set. The last tip is that you can leave out a lot of your research. Many of the articles that I have come across say that people don't necessarily like information dump. I know myself, I prefer not to have an information dump within the first few chapters of the book. It really depends on what kind of world you are building, what the setting is. If you require a specific amount of information to be given to the reader within the first few chapters, then totally go for it. The less specific information that you give a reader, the more generalized their understanding of your novel will become. That is it for my video on research. Of course, there are many other tips and tricks that can help you with research. I suggest you just Google it. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. And don't forget to leave a comment in the comments down below letting me know about your blog or your videos. I would love to check them out and feature them in a future spotlight video. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time. Happy writing!